In this review, I talk about two episodes that are pretty good. They're not phenomenal, but they're pretty good. And when you've been watching a show like this that has just not been that enjoyable, two pretty good episodes feels a little something like this. I'm in a desert, by the way. Just imagine I'm in a desert. Thank you. Oh. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Leverage Redemption Season 3, Episode 5, The Grand Complication Job. So this is the best episode in the past two seasons, by far. It had a good villain, it had good story beats, it had good character moments, it had a nice surprise with some of the twists. Overall, it was very well done. There are some flaws, which I'll get to first, because there aren't as many, so I can get through them rather quickly. First of all, unfortunately, Brianna once again just brings down this episode with some of her scenes between her and Tara. I know what they're going for here. Just unfortunately this type of joke where you've got the young upstart that sees a legend in whatever they're trying to do and gets all starstruck by them. I get it. It's just never really been that funny to me. Like, the reactions have to be really, really good to get a laugh. And unfortunately, Brianna's reactions are not that funny. They're, once again, more so for a Disney Channel show, because all she does is just the wide-eyed, hi. Also, the scene between Parker and Astrid whenever she gets stabbed, I felt like that was kind of weird. It seemed very similar to the one scene with Elliot a few episodes ago whenever he was sitting there asking everybody, hey, what's the plan now? What are we supposed to do? Even though they already had a plan in place. That's what this felt like. It was a scene that was more so for us, the audience, to get surprised by, what? She got stabbed. Parker's dead. Oh no. Even though there's really no reason for it. I don't really know what the point of that scene was, because Astrid didn't know anything about what was going on. And literally after Parker gets stabbed, they just go, we have to work together. I hate this. And that's kind of it. I don't know what that scene was supposed to be about. And the final thing is, while I do think the twist about what was actually going on in the meantime was very well done, I do think it could have been set up a little bit better, because I was already prepared for that moment. There were a few scenes throughout the episode where you could tell something else was going on. You had the one scene where Astrid was talking to Tara with her back turned to the camera. It was just so weirdly set up. She asks where the watch is, and Tara just giggles. We don't see her face. We don't see the girl move at all. We just see the back of her head and just hear, hee hee. And it just felt like such a weird scene. I'm thinking, well, that's going to come back later for sure. Also, Parker's reaction at the beginning of the episode when she gets the video about Sophie. Even from the beginning of the episode, we were already clued into the idea that she might have had some foreknowledge about this happening. And I feel like if you would somehow set it up to where we didn't have a clue, we didn't have an idea that maybe Parker knew about it, we would have been a little bit more surprised about this whole other plan that was going on in the background. There was also a weird line, which in hindsight doesn't make any sense, where Brianna's about to get attacked in the truck and she asked Parker for help, even though she's already asked Tara for help. So that did seem like a little bit of an oversight. But that's about it, though. Everything else was really, really well done. I think the setup for this one, having Parker and Astrid go head-to-head, Parker's trying to steal the watch, Astrid's trying to stop her from stealing the watch, all to save Sophie. You got Alexandra Bly returning, which is a great appearance. I was kind of hoping, since we haven't really gotten an inkling of where this season is going, I was hoping that maybe this would set up toward the end of the season. Not saying I wanted a return of Bly, but it would have been nice if maybe she was working for somebody else, or we find out there's somebody that maybe had some connections that she used. But at the end of it, there's nothing really building toward the end of the season, as far as I can tell. You also have a nice cameo from Tara, which was a very nice surprise, because she was a character that was kind of hit or miss for me in the original show, but by the end of it, I actually did really enjoy having her on the team for a little bit. So it was nice to have her back in this episode, and we've had something similar before in the original show where the bad guys know about the whole team, and so they need somebody from the outside that the bad guys are not as fully aware of. And so in those moments, they would get maybe a few friends they made along the way, and Tara was one that I know popped up for one of those episodes. It was just nice to have her back. She's a fun character to have, and I think she really worked well in this episode. I will also say the messaging in this episode was very well done. Because first of all, it was subtle, but it's also a pretty clever metaphor that they gave us, where on one side you've got all these women who are here at this party for women empowerment, and they're all celebrating Marie Antoinette, who is a woman that, yeah, she was powerful, but she was also selfish and greedy and hurt other people because of that. And I will say in some scenarios, there are a lot of modern day feminists that do act like that just want it all for themselves and are in it for themselves. And the messaging can be all about, oh, you're powerful and screw everybody else and what they think, which is not really a great message. But on the other side, you've got the heroes in this one, which we only have the females on the team, including Tara thrown in, and they're all working together to save Sophie. I think the best example of this messaging is with Parker and Astrid, where Astrid has to put aside her desire to catch Parker. Parker has to put aside her desire to just steal the watch for herself, because there's probably a part of her that wants that, because they both want to help Sophie. They both want to save her. And I think it was just very well set up in that regard. I don't know if that's actually the messaging they were going for, but that's what I took from it. I'm going to find out later that actually all the women in the party were correct to celebrate Marie Antoinette, according to the writers. It was also nice to see Parker and Astrid at the end form a bit of a friendship, because they are both sides of the same coin. Because they both do seem very interested in the same things as far as security systems and all of the things that goes into protecting valuables. Of course, Parker wants to know about it because she likes to steal. Astrid wants to know about it because she likes to protect those things. So it is funny to see the two of them bonding over some of those security systems and stuff at the end. And in some ways, Parker is kind of a daughter to Sophie. Obviously, her parental situation is very, very awful. So in a weird way, you could consider Parker and Astrid siblings. I think that's about it for this one. I really hope that this is not the only episode that I really, really enjoy to this level. Hope there's another one on the horizon, but for now, I'm just glad I at least got one. Second season, we didn't really get one, unfortunately. But anyways, moving on to the next episode. I'll see you there in a sec. And now, episode 6, the swipe right job. This one was pretty interesting. This wasn't necessarily an episode that I was super into, but it wasn't poorly done. It just, for me, the idea of Tinder and all of this stuff, the dating apps, it's not really something that I'm super invested in. So when that was the setup for the job, is trying to con this guy that's taking advantage of all the online dating apps and stuff, it just was not one that I was raring to see more of. There were some funny moments. Like, I think the conversation between Harry and his daughter was pretty funny. The villain in this one was also interesting. He was still over the top, as was his sister, but he was different than most of the villains we've seen for the past 2 seasons. I mean, I said in a recent review how every single character or every single villain is just a rich white douchebag that acts goofy and over the top. This guy, he's still rich and he's still a douchebag and he still acts goofy. He's not white, but that really doesn't change too much. But the difference is this guy was a lot more focused on actually using people's emotions against them. Most of the villains in the show have been people that are trying to abuse the system or find loopholes in the system to get around the laws that are in place and take advantage of people in that way. This was a lot more focused on just using people's emotions. He's trying to go after them and find what makes them weak. And in that sense, it's very different than a lot of the villains we've seen. So I did appreciate the difference, even if he still was well over the top. And again, his sister, the scream whenever he cuts her off, it's Disney Channel level scream. Like, it's one of those that does not feel like a natural reaction that any normal human being would have. But I think even in the setup of this episode, it felt sort of different than what we're used to seeing, where they set up a con, the con sort of falls apart, and so they have to basically come at him with an entirely new con, putting Harry in the line of fire instead. Something else that worked for me is I think the jokes on the whole were pretty funny. The whole thing with Parker talking about the dating apps and her and Hardison trying to find a way to shut them down. Something about that was just really funny to me. Ultimately, what this kind of leads to is we see at the end of the episode, there's that look between Harry and Sophie. And I did say before that I'm pretty sure they're trying to set them up at some point. So I don't know if this look means that they're finally taking them in that direction, because they have been doing a slow burn with it, which I think is fine. Because for Sophie, it makes sense she's not really wanting to just let go of Nate, but she has talked about the idea of letting him go recently. And I do think there are some similarities to Harry in the sense of he's a guy that used to work within the confines of the law, and now he's trying to find sort of the ways out of it. Kind of what Nate did when he first started out helping the group, finding ways around the law to take down the bad guys that the law is overlooking. So I see what they're doing. It's not really something I'm fully invested in, so I'm just sort of along for the ride. We'll see what they do with it. We'll see if it ends up being interesting. But for now, the romance between the two of them is not one of the highest priorities on my list of what I want to see out of this show. But I think that's about it for these 2 episodes, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 2? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Leverage Redemption reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, hope you guys have a great day. I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.